All right, hey everybody, TG here. Now, welcome to the last day before the Thanksgiving break. Hope everyone's doing well out there. And just remember, the market is closed tomorrow. So if you come here and it's looking really slow, that might be the reason. Okay. So make sure we all kind of take our day off. Thank you, Mirza. Looks like we're doing well. And then also remember that Friday is going to be a early day. So close about 3 hours early. All right. And then also the market pulling back today. And not too much of a surprise. I kind of thought maybe the market was going to be quiet, but they decided to kind of take some profits off the table, and so people are, like closing up shop and exiting, and probably a lack of buyers right at the top. You got to keep in mind that the S&P is just exactly at its previous all-time highs from a couple weeks ago, and just nobody else was interested and willing to buy up there going into the long weekend. Can't blame them, right? Especially after we had this really, really nice recovery starting about the 20th of November and then up here until the 27th. So, I mean, we've already had a really good move. The market kept kind of crawling up for the last few days. And then we hit this double top. I mean, you could see actually, I guess we pierced just a little bit of it yesterday. Maybe that was a short squeeze, but just started to kind of get up there and say, hey, we made new highs. So I don't know, maybe it kind of suckers some people in. People are looking at the market, be like, oh, hey, new highs, and then they buy it, and then of course they rip it down and sell it today. So that's okay. We took some profits yesterday. I'll kind of go around the horn, show you guys what we're up to. Kevin, good to see you out there on the interwebs. We got X, Facebook, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, if we come over here, just this just really makes sense. Nobody's going to, it's like a game of whack-a-mole. Who really wants to be the first one up there buying new all-time highs the day before a weekend? It's probably just not going to really happen. So we got that. And then it's a little bit of a detail, but what I can see on the S&P is that we've got a little bit of a gap here between price and the daily 8 EMA. So I look at that and I say, yeah, it's getting a little extended. So just a little extended right at a double top. Makes sense that we're going to chill out a little bit. I'm also seeing a gap here between price and the hourly 50, and not that that needs to get filled, but it is something that when it's kind of like, we've already had a really good move, and when we start to slow down, I start to look at that and say, yeah, price is probably going to want to get closer to that hourly 50. And then you can see that perfectly on the NASDAQ. So I was talking about this yesterday and the day before to the Moxie group and into Simpler Central. And I said, this gap right here is it's an issue, a little bit of a concern. And I'm just looking for price to pull back to it. Maybe it could flag or pull back, something like that. But then I also pointed out that price was over the 50 and the Moxie indicator was still below zero. So those of you that have the Moxie indicator and you pay attention to what I show you here, that's an inverse trampoline move. It means price should not be over the 50 if the Moxie indicator is below zero. And you can see we are getting a perfect pullback to the 50 today. So yeah, looks like they're selling big cap tech. That's kind of the thing. Of course, then the S&P is going to get knocked around a little bit, and then but if you look at the IWM, it's pretty flat, pretty flat. And funny enough, there was some rotation going around this week. So let's see, today is Wednesday, so Tuesday, so Monday the small caps were up, but the mega caps were down, and then Tuesday the small caps were down and the mega caps were up, and then today, basically the small caps popped up. They have since come down, but they originally popped up, and then the mega caps have been kind of sold off the whole time. So they've just kind of been playing musical chairs around and through here as everything is up at its highs, a little extended, had a great couple of weeks going into this holiday. And if you look at the IWM, here's that gap here between price and the daily 8 EMA, also showing that's a little extended to the upside and also right here at a double top. So this all kind of makes sense, doesn't it? All right. Those of you who are in the Moxie room with me, you guys know I've been looking for, well, I talked about an iron condor this morning, and then I was like, hey, maybe I put credit spread if we can figure out where the market comes down. This might be it. I have been watching this thing with bated breath. I'm like, how far is this thing going to go down? And so I was kind of watching it in through here. I thought that might be the level because it perfectly hit the 15-minute 50. And then they decided to take one more chunk down like that. But you can see we're getting some positive divergence. We are here at the 5-minute 200. We have undercut the 15-minute 50. So I'm probably going to send out an alert because this is, kind of the weird holiday weekend and stuff. But if you guys are listening to me, I know we got quite a few people in the room. This might be an area where we could sell put credit spread. I've been watching the internals, and you can see here the ticks, even though they were down, they're really not that negative. In fact, that might be our flush out tick, and you can see that most of them are trying to go positive. And the internals, for the most part, are positive, but we're seeing a lot of pullbacks today. So if you want to do a put credit spread, this looks pretty good. Also, if we're checking out GEX, let me get over here. Let's see, which one is that? This one. So if we look at GEX for today, and this is our gamma exposure, you can see about 59.90 is where the low that they were calling for today. And we pretty much just hit that. So you can see 59.95 turned out to be the spot, and now we've bounced. So dare I say this might be the spot for a put credit spread. You can look here at a 59.95. There's still a little bit of meat on the bone if you guys are interested in there. You can even look at a 59.90, and there's a little bit of meat on the bone on that one. And you can see it looks like it's broken. In fact, for those of you, again, in the Moxie room, check this out. We've talked about this a couple of times, or we talk about this somewhat often about the Moxie patterns actually showing up in the options. Look at this. It's a 50, 200, 50 maneuver. And again, 50, 200, 50 maneuver. So bull bear buddy, this is kind of what I was talking about is, instead of trying to figure out where the bottom is for a move and kind of getting ahead of it and, either buying or shorting into it, what I like to look for is this break. That's the thing that I look for. And so you can see in through here how the 8 was over the 21. And I get it. I fall prey to this too, obviously. And I look at this, I'm like, oh, this is going to turn. It's going to turn. And I want to get that. I want to get the best premium when it's going to turn. Well, I was watching it in through here. You can see the lines that I have kind of when I was making some paper trades in through here. And that right there, it wasn't the bottom. You can see it continued to move up a little bit and give you some heat. But if you look at where it finally broke, and now you have the 8 below the 21, and now you have price below the 50, you're pretty much right there at the same place. So we could have avoided some stress and taking some heat instead of trying to get here and guessing, and having to go against. You can wait for the break. And that's generally what I look for in order to get one of these things. So yeah, let me take a look at this. Yeah, kind of if it can hold here, 59.95 looks like that was the level. And if the market can just kind of bounce from there, yeah, those ticks are looking much better. And as long as it just doesn't go there again, selling a 59.95 would be pretty good. Let me take a look at what that looks like. So 59.95 with a 20 wide, yeah, about $3.55. It's pretty decent. Let me make a copy of that, and let's see if we can do something like that. Yeah, we'll take a shot. I think if we're gonna take a shot, this seems about the right spot. Oh, made alert. Okay, SPX, put credit spread, and let's see, is it at the right price? 340. Yeah, that's close enough. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so 59.95. Yep. So we did it right about there. Okay. And we'll see how that works for the day. We got our puts kind of moving up like this, and we want to see the break, and then we just want to see them continue to fade. And that is our situation. Yeah, Bull Bear Buddy, it's amazing that the Moxie patterns also exist on inside of option charts. My mind was just blown away when I started seeing this, and that's really for the rest of you guys out there who are watching me on the social medias and stuff. That is the thing. I really was never an options trader, and now here I am day trading options and stuff like that. And the biggest thing, the only reason, the only ability that I have to be able to trade options is that I was able to visualize them this way. I had never knew this was a thing until a few months ago. And then once I saw it, I was like, holy cow. And then all I did is I just put all my typical Moxie stock chart stuff on here. And then it just revolutionized how I could see everything. And amazingly, yeah, 50, 200, 50 maneuver. Now, again, it's not always perfect, but when you see these things and if everything else starts to line up, you be like, oh, okay, I can work with that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to see if it can stay underneath the 2-minute 50 and if it can just kind of keep declining from here. And if we look at the S&P, that looks like a pretty good turnaround right there. So look at the 2-minute. You notice how this morning there's your Moxie price trigger to the downside. There's your Moxie price trigger to the upside. Heck, we even had a one on the 5-minute. And then you can see there's the 8 below the 21 and it just starts declining. So selling some calls would have been nice this morning. I kind of called that out with a iron condor this morning. Said, hey, maybe something like that would work. Obviously, it meant the put side took some heat. But I did say it was 60-30 for the call side and 59-90 for the put side on that iron condor. So that would have worked. It would have worked. But then in through here, you can see the 8 below the 21 the entire time. And at least if this is going to work, at least we now have the 8 over the 21 and we can see if that is going to hold. Again, no guarantees. It's a holiday weekend. People might be continuing to sell and go home, and we're just gonna have to see if this thing can generally just stabilize and just hang out here. We kind of sold it right at the money, and so if it can kind of move up from there, we should be good. All right. I know over. Okay, so Mitch, you had a question. Let's take a look at some individual tickers. So PLUG. Um, okay, so really, if you guys know, most of what I've been talking about is saying that if the small caps, basically if the markets are going to be coming back and the small caps are going to be coming back, we should be seeing um, kind of these things coming out of hibernation. And a lot of these names have done this, not all of them. So this is kind of where I'm starting my conversation. Something like Plug doesn't look like it's quite doing what a lot of the other small caps have been doing and what we've been trading. But if the rising tide is going to lift all boats, and if Plug is going to eventually catch up, then at least there's a Moxie price trigger on the weekly chart, and at least it looks like Plug is kind of done going down. So that's the first step. And then if we come over here and we look around and through this area, we're looking for that. You can see here, basically there's your higher low, and you can see maybe prices starting to get back over the daily 50. It's got a lot of work to do. So, if this interests you, sure, there might be better names to be picking from, but yeah, if it's going to go, at least this seems like that would be the spot that it tries to go. It also seems like maybe some sort of news came out here because they're definitely kind of that wake up type move. So yeah, if you wanted to look at this and trade this, at least this seems reasonable. But for me, I think there are other names that are just looking stronger kind of right off the bat and a little bit more developed. I would say they're riper and more mature, and those are the kind of ones that I'd rather go after. But what we can do is I can put an X here and say, hey, that's where we talked about it. And if it's going to work, it's going to work from right there because, at least that does look fairly decent on the daily chart right in through there. All right. And then let's see. Yeah, okay, Bull Bear Buddy. So yeah, if we're looking at for the market, the other thing I was kind of looking at is to see if this market was going to turn. You can look at FNGU, or you can look at MAGS, which is MAGS, and you can see the mega cap tech kind of got slammed this morning, and we're just gonna have to see if this is oversold at this point. It's pretty heavy. It is pretty extended. And now we're just going to have to see if they can just shut off the selling. And if they can just shut off the selling, then most likely this will kind of drift back up to kind of a reversion to the mean. And that would make the put credit spread work. But it is right here. I mean, we are pretty much right at that spot. And we're going to need something like this to get over the 2-minute 50. I think it would be reasonable. I think it's likely. That's why I put out the trade. And we can see here, even on the 15-minute, you can see here we are way outside the 15-minute third ATR and the 15-minute 8 EMA. This is pretty oversold for the day. So now we just have to see if the selling gets shut off and kind of reversion to the mean. All right, let's see. Was there anything else? I know somebody was asking about quantum. David, yeah, David, you're asking about some quantum computing names. So QBTS, these are probably going to be a little bit crazy. They're very small cap. They are on the cutting edge of the AI stuff and kind of where interest is going, where money is going, it's starting to become a thing. But you can see there have been some pretty big wild moves in through this. And I think what we'd want to do, as far as me for a swing trader, I'd like to know if this is finally the time where these are going to start trending in a more meaningful way. And kind of stepping back and looking at the monthly, weekly, this looks promising, actually. You can see here a couple fits, a couple false starts right in through there. You can see on the weekly, it ran right into the weekly 50. And then here, that looked pretty good, but then it faded. This is looking much better. I mean, we are now making new highs. You're doing it on big volume. I would say, yeah, that is looking interesting. So yeah, QBTS could be something there. Now, of course, it's had a big move already, so you're gonna have to kind of find your spot. The best thing I could say from this point is right here, price finding support at the daily 21 and a trampoline move here on the hourly chart. So price below the 50, Moxie indicator above 0. So yeah, right in through there. So yeah, kind of looking interesting. And then what was the other one? Ion Q, we know that one has pretty much gone through the roof. Yeah, what else is there to say about that one? That one you're gonna have to I think you're gonna have to wait and find a spot on that one if you're gonna be in it because, whew, yeah, that's a big mover already. So just be patient. And then RGTI, that's kind of another one that's similar to the QBTS, same kind of deal. I would say it's looking very similar. In fact, looking very similar to the QBTS. Same kind of deal. Had a couple waves where it tried to get started, but now this is looking pretty good. It's looking at like a 20 and make new highs, big volume. So yeah, this whole AI thing might finally be here. And then let's see, QQU BT is another one. Yeah, again, look at these things. Just kind of these wild names where they out of nowhere they start to launch. Um, this one, I would kind of say like, ooh, it's already really had a big move. I don't know what else to say about this. You're going to have to be patient. Keep watching this and see if there's another entry. The best place I could say was there was a pullback into the hourly 50 there, another pullback into the hourly 50 there, and it all started when price pulled into the daily 21 right around earnings. So yeah, that's about all I can say on those things. Pretty wild, pretty wild. And let me take a look at the market real quick again, because the ticks are still positive. The market's still having a little bit of a trouble in through here. Let me get where is this? There we go. So we come over here and let's look at the SPX. Looks like it's perfectly hit that 2-minute 50. Yeah, right there. Perfectly hit that 2-minute 50. I really wanted to kind of see it come up, maybe dip a little bit, and then go up over. So I'm going to have to keep watching this and see where this thing wants to go. The market apparently is still pretty heavy today. Yeah. We'll see. Now remember, I'm showing some gamma levels that are talking about 59.90. So we're pretty close to that. And, given that it bounced at 59.95, I'd like to think that we're getting pretty close. Definitely there was a level there. So let's see if it kind of wants to come down here, probe a little bit more, maybe, wash out some hands, and then we'll see if it flips around. So we might have to be a little bit patient with this one. Yeah, a little bit challenging with this holiday thing. Everyone's kind of being like, oh, thanks, we're getting out of here, early, even though the ticks are still looking decent. All right, let's take a look at is it IBM? Yeah, IBM. IBM's looking pretty good, actually. Let's see, is it still looking a good chart? Is it due for a pullback? You see it might go down to the hourly 200, which is about 220. Yeah, actually, I think that could be reasonable. Yes, this does look like a pretty decent chart. Um, it did look like for whatever reason they dropped it on earnings. But since then, here's your double bottom, there's your positive divergence, and there's your Moxie price trigger. And you can see that was an elf shoe on the daily. So there's the leg, there's the heel, there's the arch of the foot, there's the ball of the foot, and there's your elf toe. So yeah, that's a really great pattern. I'm guessing that found some support on the higher time frame. Yeah, look at that. Perfectly bounced off of the weekly 21. So yeah, that looks good. But very similarly to the S&P and to the NASDAQ, you can see it came up here, third ATR, so very extended, and there's a gap here between price and the AEMA. So I would let this thing settle down and figure out where the pullback is. I think you're probably right. Probably something around the hourly 200, or sorry, the hourly 50 should be a reasonable spot to look at. Now, remember, this is a moving target, so it doesn't mean that price is going to come down to here. It can mean that the moving average can come up and this can come down, and then they can meet somewhere in the middle. So I would watch for either the hourly 50 or maybe just a little bit of a dip below the hourly 50 as a potential buy point. Yes, David, if the SPX closes at 59.95, that put credit spread should work even if it's at 59.95. It can even be somewhere around there, and we'll have to see if we can get even some profit for it. But yeah, still looking a little bit heavy. Maybe we need to come down here, just touch that 59.90 and then come back a little bit. But we are getting some divergence. We are kind of getting some extensions here. And let's see, what about FNGU? Because it's the FANG stocks, it's the mega caps that are really drawing things down today. And I'd like to think at some point, yeah, these things are gonna. We just need the selling to shut off, because at some point, those that are short, those that decided to short the market today, not just sell the market, but actually short it, at some point they're going to look at this and be like, yeah, we don't really want to short this anymore. They've already made their move. The risk to reward ratio is not favorable for them anymore, and they're going to start cashing in their shorts, and that'll help kind of get the market to turn around a little bit too. Let's see if we can look at, let's go back to the NASDAQ, because the other thing that I'm looking at for this pullback is we are sitting right here at the daily 21. So most likely that should act as support, even if it wants to go below it, it can come back. And then basically that hourly 50. Yeah. And again, we're well outside of these ATR bars on the 15-minute time frame. So yeah, we'll have to see what that wants to do as far as that. Let me take a look also at the UVIX and come over here down to the lower time frame. Yeah, not seeing too much that I can really work with here yet either. In order for the market to move up, we're going to need the UVX to go down. So we need this to break below the 2-minute 50. And so far you can see it continues to hold the 2-minute 50. So we're going to need to see that change directions also. All right, let's see what else you guys chat about. Oh, B1, sorry about that, man. I kind of forgot to take a look over you guys. So Bitcoin is ripping, huh? Let's see, /BTC. Well, I think what I saw, it was a bounce from a pullback. So Bitcoin perfectly pulled back at 100,000. Makes sense, kind of that round number, right? Go up there, you ring the bell, everyone says, yay, we hit 100,000, and then they pull it back. I mean, it just makes a lot of sense. Yep, looks like today is up. Now, that's kind of the question is, does that mean that, is that all the pullback that we got, those last 2.5 days? And is this now going to go higher, or is it gonna sit around in this area and kind of chop and flag a little bit? That's always the hard part. That's always the challenging part to know if that's going to be which way that's going to go. Let me look at the higher time frame. Gosh, yeah, that's hard to say. I mean, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, of course, but I'd like to know, if this is going to continue pulling back, then I will just sit on it and then I'll look for a place that I can add to it. But if this is it, if that was the pullback, then it's going to keep going higher, then I'd like to add now. I'm inclined to think that I want to give this a little bit more time to breathe, just in case it does pull back a little bit more. Okay. It could also chop a little bit, so maybe it'll give you multiple opportunities to get into it. And so that's kind of like, yeah, let's give it a little bit of time. Now, on that note, with Bitcoin, we have been looking at Irene, and we've been in and out of this one a couple times. It's kind of reminding me of our NNE position, where it's a little bit choppy, but I think my bigger picture plan for this is pretty much right and spot on. And I just need to pick a level and get in and just hang on to it. We got stopped out with a 3% stop loss, because I really kind of thought maybe the daily 21 was going to hold, and then it came down and looks like it actually wanted the daily 50. But then I was like, well, we've got earnings here too, and I didn't really want to go right into that. And look at this, now it's up on earnings. So yeah, I'll probably need to find my way back into Irene, because yeah, look at this thing, it's up nicely on earnings. I won't be doing it today. I don't really want to go chase it like this, but we'll see if it can kind of settle in sometime next week. Because I kind of think that the market should kind of pull back or flag a little bit next week. And yeah, I don't really want to chase this too much. But yeah, Irene, look at that. Come on, Irene. It's already doing well. And I just had my stops a little bit too tight on this thing, plus a little bit of cold feet about earnings. I never really like earnings for anything, and I think that's kind of what we're dealing with on this one. But yeah, we were kind of seeing some of the other um, Bitcoin Bitcoin miners taking a little bit of a breather. You can see that, but like, look, what's there not to like about Mara? It looks to me like it's probably going to be a bull flag right into the hourly 50. In fact, if we do this, there's a line, there's a level that seems to be appearing right there. And we can see if it bull flags into that hourly 50. Cypher was looking pretty good. They had pullbacks, sure, but they're pulling back into somewhere that I would imagine is going to be support. So there's Cypher, and there's Hut. Hut's looking pretty good. In fact, that's looking like it wants to keep kind of climbing higher from there. This might be the spot for Hut. It took a few days to go sideways. This might be the spot right there. It's always a little bit hard to tell, but if we look at this, maybe we can say that there's that trend line, and if it can stay over that trend line, then that could be it. So that's a little idea for Hut. And then if we look at Coin, Coin has kind of been cooling off a little bit, but that's okay. It went straight up. Of course, it's going to need to digest. You can see here how it got really overbought, and basically it's going sideways. So if it can maintain this sideways action until it finds support and then it goes up, then yeah, fantastic. So again, generally, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. It's just a matter of finding your spots, being in. Do you want to take some off? Do you want to feather it a little bit? Like, how active do you want to be it? But Bitcoin is bullish. Okay, there's just no question about that, and I've been pretty clear on that for a long time. All right, AVGO. We'll do a couple more, and then I'll wrap up with you guys because I also have the Simpler Central room later today. Yeah, Avgo. Look, semiconductors are just having a hard time. I don't know what it is. Some people talk about Trump, tariff, that kind of stuff. But yeah, semiconductors, Nvidia, they're all having a hard time. SMH as the index, they're all having a hard time. So I really don't know what to tell you here other than it continues to move down. You can see right here, it actually just bear flagged right into the underside of a downtrending hourly 50. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, Andrew, CLSK, we talked about that the other day. AUR, we're in this one. I think it's looking fantastic. A little bit of a pullback right into the hourly 50. Continue. Yeah, I think this is looking great. We're in it. And I think right there was looking absolutely fantastic. So happy about that one. And then SOUN, this is another position of ours. Hey, like we said yesterday, expect some pullbacks. It's up there at previous all-time highs. It got pretty stretched at that third ATR. Expect some pullbacks. The market's kind of taking a breather going into the holiday week. No big deal. Probably watch it come into this hourly 50 and see if it can find some support in through there. So yeah, just kind of being patient with that. And then APLD, basically the same thing. It's looking great. It got a little extended. You can see here, third ATR, third ATR, third ATR, but it's in an uptrend. So find your spots to add to it if you want. Otherwise, just ride it and it should be good. All right, guys. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And now we just need to see if the market as a whole can find some overall support in through this area. And we kind of watch the NASDAQ and the S&P, and they look like they are trying. They seriously look like they're trying. So I think we're going to have to be a little bit patient in through here, and we just need to see if this is going to be the spot. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking at. And hopefully this doesn't keep sliding. Otherwise, we might either have to, take some heat or get out or decide what. But it's getting close. I mean, it feels like it doesn't want to go down much anymore. Oh, ticks have kind of changed a little bit. So I'm going to give this a little bit more time because it's already been a big move down. And like I said, if you think about the people who are short this market, there's a point at which they're like, yeah, we already made our money. It's very extended, and I don't want to keep being short. And I want to say that we're pretty close to that. We're starting to kind of notice that this is looking like a level. And if it can kind of just start holding the spot, then it should be okay. So that's what I'm looking at. All right, guys. So for those of you on YouTube, Facebook, and X, happy Thanksgiving. Remember, tomorrow's closed and we have a half day on Friday. And for those of you in the Moxie room, I'm going to be back on the mic with you in the Central room in, I don't know, a couple hours, something like that. So we'll see you again